Have you been contemplating the nature and causes of human conflict and pain?
I have. I believe it all comes down to the human capacity for lying. The ability to deliberately mislead by asserting that things are in some way different from the truth is not a capability that we have, but humanity. And the demonic both share this capacity for falsehood. After due consideration, I think it is at the root of what plagues humanity and causes it grief and hardship.
An interesting theory. Are you certain you have considered all aspects of this matter?
I have done my best. That mankind and the fallen have this characteristic in common cannot simply be a coincidence. Thus, the humans experience suffering, albeit to a much lesser degree than that of the fallen, whose sin of arrogance and pride has resulted in their damnation and eternal torment.
I feel that your analysis is incomplete, so let us go now to the mortal realm and put your conjecture to the test. I have been in contact with the source, and it is permitted. For this purpose, we will not manifest in a manner that can be perceived by the mortals.
Then by all means, let us venture forth. I will ensure my presence cannot be observed by human senses.
We will enter a building I have selected, a business that falls into what they refer to as the financial sector, and permit our love for the source and his works to permeate the interior of that one building only. As the humans go about their daily tasks, our emanations will encourage them to act in virtuous ways, avoiding lies, anger, violence, and other improper behaviors.
I do not question you, but I admit to being surprised that such influence on our part has been permitted.
This is a special case. Demonic spirits visited this city yesterday, influencing the inhabitants of this location in a similarly limited way. Thus, we are only balancing the scales.
I understand. Where shall we begin?
Follow me.
Hello, I'm John Smith, here for my job interview with Michael Jones.
Yes, we were expecting you. Please have a seat, and I'll let Mr. Jones know that you have arrived.
Hello, are you John? Yes, that's me. I'm Mike Jones. Pleased to meet you. The pleasure is all mine.
Sorry I'm late, but I overslept, and frankly, this interview wasn't a high priority with me in the first place. I really have no intention of leaving my current job, but, it's a good idea to stay on top of what employers are looking for and maintain an awareness of my own attractiveness in the job market.
I fully understand. In fact, we've already decided to promote an internal resource into this role, since they will already have an excellent familiarity with our environment, processes, and systems. We just advertised this position externally to satisfy HR's requirements. And, like you said, get a feeling for the kind of talent that may be available for future openings.
What did I just say?
What did I just say? So, shall we step into one of the interview rooms and proceed?
Yes, sure.
Let me start off by describing what we'll be doing in this interview today. To begin with, I'll give you the opportunity to describe your experience for me at a high level, since I'm too busy to have read your resume in detail, and am primarily depending in our automated screening programs and the discussion you've already had with HR. Then I'll ask a bunch of preset questions that, in theory, increase the objectivity of the entire process by ensuring candidates are put through a similar interviewing procedure. I may spice things up with targeted questions if you say something interesting. Then at the end of the interview, you'll get a minute or two to ask me questions. Since we're not really planning to hire you anyway, I'm going to try to keep the time down to a minimum.
Okay, but if that's the case, I kind of wish we had just done this as a remote or virtual interview. I hate wearing a suit and not wanting you to notice my weight. I've tightened my belt so much it feels as though it's cutting me in half. This is a major inconvenience, and I've already begun to develop a negative attitude towards your company. Also, I'm certainly not going to accept a job offer from any enterprise that insists on my showing up in person more than 2 days a week, although I may act like I'm okay with it if that comes up in the interview.
Actually, we've just moved to a standard of 4 days a week into the office. I totally understand what you're saying about the inconvenience, however. I also hate the pointlessness of being physically present. Although, as a manager, I have to pretend to support all such mandates issued by the company. So, shall we begin the interview then?
Sure, we're both here. Go for it.
Please give me an overview of what you've been doing in the last few years.
I've been with 3 different organizations over the past 3 years, doing a variety of supporting analysis for product, process, systems, and change management initiatives. This includes research to help determine relative merits of different product development options, working with IT to meet the needs of the end users, helping to roll out changes in systems and procedures to operational groups, and so on. I'm sure I could help your company in the same ways.
Thank you for that overview. I need to ask why you shifted organizations so many times. Frankly, it makes me feel that you'd also be leaving our company, perhaps a year after being hired.
It might work out that way. I get bored easily, and once I fully master a job, well, then it's time to move on. Otherwise, you're not growing, right?
I can see where you're coming from on that. How were your performance reviews?
Pretty shitty, actually. But since I was planning to move on anyway, it really didn't matter to me. Also, the evaluation criteria and performance reviews are totally subjective as to what your current manager wants, and even that doesn't matter if they don't like you. I'm not a suck-up, so it was pretty much a foregone conclusion from the start that I wouldn't be getting stellar reviews, you know?
Well, thank you for your honesty. As I'm reading your resume now, it says you have good skills in programming, especially in JavaScript and Python. That's a bit unusual for an analyst. Can you tell me about that?
My resume says that? Just a minute. Oh, I see the problem. You know, I didn't actually write this resume. I just used an AI LLM to build it for me from a few prompts. I thought it looked pretty good, actually, far better than I could do myself. But as you pointed out, there are a few glitches here and there. No, I don't really know Java or Python. But I'm a quick learner.
So what's written in this resume isn't reliable?
Most of it is. And I bet it's just as reliable as the requirements in your job posting. You've listed all those certifications and skills and years of experience as mandatory, when we both know there's probably less than 100 people in the entire country with all those skills and experience, and they're busy right now. And even if they weren't busy, they wouldn't come here to work for the salary you're offering.
John, you seem to be missing the big picture here. When we hire, we want the best of the best. So our job postings reflect that. We don't actually expect total adherence to even our mandatory requirements. We just want to see what's available in the marketplace. Remember, we've already selected an internal candidate for this position. That also covers the salary issue you mentioned, because we intentionally keep all of our salaries for non-managerial staff below the average. Our longtime staff aren't even aware of this, so it isn't a problem for them. Plus, the money we save goes directly to our bottom line, which makes the shareholders happy. And those lower expenditures on personnel and higher profit margins also lead to larger bonuses for our executives, which keeps them happy. You see how everything ties together nicely?
But you're not being fair to your employees. It's like the company is a vast, soulless entity who doesn't value the people who do the actual work.
I'm sorry to be the one who breaks this to you, John, but all corporations, companies, and enterprises are soulless entities who don't care about their workers. People may have souls, but businesses certainly don't. And every single staff member, from the guys in the mailroom to the senior executives, including the CEO, are fully replaceable. For marketing purposes, we may say the company is socially active and responsible, but in fact, we are only responsible to our shareholders for turning a profit and giving them a return on the investment they made by purchasing our shares. Welcome to reality and capitalism, John.
That's depressing. Maybe I'll become a monk. Or become self-employed and start my own business.
And if your new business start to take off, you'll quickly discover that you need to become like us to be successful and grow.
Now, please tell me about your volunteer activities at your previous employers, such as organizing team events, charity drives, and other above and beyond voluntary work for your employers.
Absolutely nothing, man. Zip, zero, zilch. Why on earth should I contribute bursts of extra time and energy for an organization that doesn't feel compelled to contribute bursts of extra money and time off for me? I'll do my job right down to the letter to earn my pay. But as you just pointed out, for-profit enterprises are all about the bottom line, and I'm not about to volunteer time for them when they don't volunteer anything for me. They don't even classify me as eligible for overtime, so forget it.
Okay, I believe I've got a good grasp on your suitability and fit for our company now. Were there any questions that you wanted to ask me?
Yeah, I want to work for an innovator, a company that's not afraid to take risks. How do you distinguish your products from those of your competitors?
Really, everyone's products in this space are about the same. Oh, one might lean more towards mortgages and another emphasize their savings rates. But basically, we all know what products the public wants and what the profit margins are on each of them. The only innovation might be to slowly move into spaces occupied by other pillars in the financial sector, like banks offering insurance products or brokerage firms opening high-interest savings accounts. Even that is closely governed by legislation and regulation. We're all very conservative, which is what the public wants.
Wow. It doesn't sound like the financial sector is for me.
Yes, that's what everyone says until they have trouble paying the rent. Then they apply to our job postings and those of our competitors and hope that they get one of those jobs. It's not about finding your passion at work, John. It's about surviving in a tough environment, and that allows you to find your passion after work or on the weekend doing something else entirely.
That's a bit cynical, Mike. But okay, what about your workforce and the way you support it distinguishes you from your competitors?
Basically the same answer as before. All the companies in our sector are constantly losing or terminating employees who are then hired by our competitors, and hiring employees who have left or been terminated by our competitors. At the end of the day, every company has a mishmash of staff, many of whom have come from their competitors. Then they claim that our employees are the best. You don't need more than a couple of working brain cells to know that cannot be true. As far as our employee benefit programs are concerned, no one wants to be at a competitive disadvantage in terms of recruitment, and no one wants to be at a disadvantage through having higher benefit costs than their competitors. Therefore, just as you'd expect, everyone in the industry ends up with benefit programs that are very similar.
Okay, I believe I've got a good grasp on your company's appeal and fit for myself now. I have no further questions.
Excellent. This is the point where I typically tell interviewees that we'll get in touch with them in a couple of weeks to let them know where they stand. But to be honest, they never hear back from us. We just ghost them.
Sure. This is the point where I usually tell interviewers how much I'm interested in the job and how much I want to move to the next stage. But actually, even if this company did offer me another interview, I'd just ghost them. What a strange interview this has been. Did you put some kind of truth gas into the ventilation system today?
Not that I know of. But I agree this has been a strange and, in some ways, an uncomfortable experience for me. Let's not do it again. Goodbye, John.
I don't expect we'll meet again. Goodbye, Mike.
What is your impression of what we witnessed today? For example, do you believe the job interview went better due to the honesty our presence engendered?
It did not proceed as per my expectations. Surprisingly, the honesty was of little benefit to either of the participants. But I do not believe it was at fault either. The underlying structures, practices, expectations, and beliefs that were already present basically guaranteed that the interview would not have resulted in a harmonious conclusion, even without our being there. The honesty simply made it much more obvious.
And therefore,
I will need to spend additional time considering this. Human matters are more complex than I had anticipated.
I agree. We shall continue our discussions following your further contemplations.